You haven't done so well yourself by telling...
Well, I can go back, I think, further than Donald. I know his family goes back as far as I do.
She was one of the most recognizable faces in television history, a cultural icon whose sharp wit and fierce love for her family made her a household name. As Granny on The Beverly Hillbillies, Irene Ryan was America's feisty, hilarious, and unforgettable grandmother. For 9 seasons, she was a whirlwind of comedic energy, a pint-sized titan who could stare down a bear, brew up a batch of potent moonshine, and still have time to dispense her unique brand of mountain justice. She was a star, celebrated and adored. But for decades, a dark and persistent rumor has circulated online. It's a story that claims when Irene Ryan passed away, the laughter fell silent. The story alleges that the woman who had entered millions of homes each week died alone and forgotten, that almost no one came to her funeral. This shocking narrative paints a bleak picture of a Hollywood star discarded, a lonely woman whose incredible success ultimately left her abandoned. It's a haunting story that has lingered for years, a stain on the memory of a woman who brought so much joy to the world. But is it true? Is it possible that a star of her magnitude could be so utterly forgotten? What really happened in the final days of Irene Ryan? We decided to investigate, to separate the disturbing rumor from the documented reality. And what we found is a story far more powerful and far more inspiring than any online myth could ever suggest. The internet can be a powerful tool, but it's also a breeding ground for modern folklore, where sad stories, true or not, can take on a life of their own. The rumor about Irene Ryan's funeral is a perfect example. It usually begins with a hook designed to get a reaction, a jolt of shock and sadness. These accounts often describe a nearly empty funeral, a sad, lonely affair for a woman who deserved so much more. They paint a picture of a cold and indifferent Hollywood, a town that chews people up and spits them out, forgetting them the moment the spotlight fades. The narrative taps into a common fear, that a life of hard work can end in private loneliness. It suggests that once the cameras stopped rolling, Irene Ryan simply faded from memory, and that her death was met with a collective shrug from the industry she dedicated her life to. The story claims her co-stars didn't show up, that friends were absent, and that the pews were empty. It's a heartbreaking image, and it has been repeated so often that, for many, it has become the accepted truth. These claims are almost always presented without a shred of verifiable evidence, relying instead on emotional language and pure speculation. They're frequently found in videos and articles with shocking titles that focus on tragedy and dark secrets. The story sticks because it plays on common tropes about classic TV stars, that they get typecast, their fame fades, and they're ultimately left behind. These are compelling themes, but they are no substitute for the documented facts of a person's life. So why has this particular story stuck to Irene Ryan? To understand that, and to ultimately dismantle the myth, we have to go back. We have to look at the woman behind Granny, a journey that spans the entire breadth of 20th century American entertainment, from vaudeville to Broadway. This isn't just a story about a TV star. It's the story of a resilient, trailblazing performer who was in the middle of a triumphant career comeback when her life was tragically cut short. Before she was Granny, she was Jessie Irene Noblett, born in El Paso, Texas, on October 17, 1902. Her father was an Army sergeant, and her mother an immigrant from Ireland. The story goes that her professional career began at age 11 when she won $3 for singing Pretty Baby in an amateur contest in San Francisco. That small victory ignited a fire that would burn for the next 6 decades. As a young woman, she dove into the world of vaudeville, the demanding circuit of variety shows that was the bedrock of American entertainment. In 1922, she married writer-comedian Tim Ryan, and together they formed a successful comedy duo, Tim and Irene. They perfected a popular Dumb Dora routine, where Irene played a flighty character who would drive her straight-man husband to distraction, much like George Burns and Gracie Allen. Their act was a hit, and they toured the country before starring in a series of about 11 short comedies for educational pictures between 1935 and 1937. Tim's exasperated catchphrase, "Will you stop?" even became the title of one of their films. When vaudeville faded, Irene seamlessly transitioned to radio. She became a regular on Bob Hope's wildly popular program and toured with him in the USO during World War II, entertaining American troops. She became known as the gal who makes Bob Hope laugh. Her marriage to Tim Ryan ended in 1942, but she kept his last name professionally and continued to build her career. She appeared in numerous films and made early TV guest appearances on shows like The Danny Thomas Show and My Three Sons. She was a respected working actress, but massive stardom still eluded her. That all changed in 1962. At 60 years old, an age when many actresses see their opportunities dwindle, Irene Ryan landed the role that would make her a legend. The creator of a new sitcom, Paul Henning, was looking for an actress to play Daisy Mae Moses, the fiery matriarch of the Beverly Hillbillies. He had considered another actress, Bea Benaderet, but when Irene Ryan read for the part, with her hair in a bun and a feisty attitude, Henning knew instantly, "That's Granny!" The Beverly Hillbillies premiered on September 26, 1962, and was an immediate runaway smash. The show was #1 in the Nielsen ratings for its first 2 seasons and stayed in the top 20 for 8 of its 9 seasons. At its center was Irene Ryan as Granny, a true force of nature. She was fiercely protective, suspicious of city life, and always ready with a shotgun or a folk remedy. The role was physically demanding, but she embraced it, creating electric chemistry with her co-stars. For her work, she was nominated for 2 Emmy Awards for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series in 1963 and 1964. She had finally become one of the biggest and most beloved stars in the world, which makes the rumor of her lonely end all the more jarring. When the Beverly Hillbillies ended its run in 1971, many might have expected Irene Ryan, then nearly 70, to retire. But she was a performer to her core. Instead of stepping away, she took on one of the most demanding challenges of her career: Broadway. In 1972, the legendary director Bob Fosse cast her in his new musical, Pippin. She played Berta, the main character's grandmother, who appears in one pivotal scene to sing the show-stopping number No Time at All, a joyful anthem about living life to the fullest. At 70 years old, Irene Ryan was on a Broadway stage. Her performance was a revelation. Audiences who only knew her as Granny were stunned by her powerful voice and infectious energy. Night after night, her song earned a thunderous ovation. She was a star all over again, in a completely new arena. In 1973, her incredible performance earned her a Tony Award nomination for Best Featured Actress in a Musical. This was not a forgotten woman fading into obscurity. This was a 70-year-old performer at the absolute peak of her powers, celebrated by critics and adored by audiences. She was a working actress, a Broadway star, and a Tony nominee, but behind this triumph, a tragedy was unfolding. Ryan was a lifelong heavy smoker, and on March 10, 1973, she suffered an apparent stroke on stage during a performance of Pippin. She was flown back to California and hospitalized at St. John's Hospital in Santa Monica. There, she was diagnosed with an inoperable and malignant brain tumor called a glioblastoma. For the next 6 weeks, she battled the illness. On April 26, 1973, just over a month after her final, triumphant performance, Irene Ryan passed away at the age of 70. The cause of death was listed as glioblastoma and arteriosclerotic heart disease. She died a celebrated working actress, a story of artistic triumph met with sudden tragedy, a far cry from the narrative of a forgotten woman fading away. With the facts of Irene's vibrant final year established, the rumor of a lonely funeral starts to fall apart. The story of a forgotten star just doesn't line up with the reality of a Tony-nominated Broadway sensation. So where did the "no one showed up" rumor even come from? It doesn't appear in any news reports or obituaries from 1973. Major publications at the time reported on her death, her celebrated career, and her recent Tony nomination, but there's no mention of a poorly attended funeral. The story seems to be a more recent invention. Internet folklore that has gained traction through viral videos that prioritize emotion over historical accuracy. The truth is far less sensational, but much more dignified. After her death, Irene Ryan was interred at the beautiful Woodlawn Memorial Cemetery in Santa Monica, California. Her remains were placed in a crypt within a mausoleum, not some forgotten grave. And she wasn't alone. Her crypt is right beside that of her beloved older sister, Anna Thompson. This arrangement strongly suggests what really happened was a private, family-oriented service. Irene Ryan had been divorced twice and had no children of her own. Her sister was her closest relative. It's entirely logical that her final arrangements would be quiet and personal rather than a grand Hollywood affair. The absence of a star-studded media circus isn't proof of abandonment. It's a sign of a private service for a private person. The rumor confuses a lack of publicity with a lack of love, and that's a huge, unsupported leap. But the story doesn't end there. The most powerful piece of evidence that completely dismantles the myth of a forgotten star has nothing to do with her funeral. It has to do with what she did before she died. A secret that would create a legacy far more enduring than any TV show. The ultimate proof that Irene Ryan was not forgotten and unloved is found in the pages of her last will and testament. It's here that her true character and profound generosity are revealed. Far from being a lonely woman, Irene Ryan was a savvy and compassionate visionary who planned to give back to the profession that had given her so much. Before her death, Irene, a woman with no children, established the Irene Ryan Foundation, a charitable organization funded with over $1 million from her estate. Its mission was clear: to support and encourage promising young actors by awarding scholarships to help them pursue their education. This wasn't just a small gesture. The foundation established the Irene Ryan Acting Scholarships, which are awarded through the prestigious Kennedy Center American College Theater Festival, KCACTF. Since 1972, the year before she passed away, the Irene Ryan Foundation has been at the heart of this national program. Each year, thousands of student actors from colleges across the country compete in the festival. They perform, they're judged by professionals, and the most promising among them are named Irene Ryan Scholars. For over 50 years, the name Irene Ryan has been synonymous not with being forgotten, but with being discovered. Her name is spoken with reverence and hope by countless young actors. Winning an Irene Ryan Scholarship is a mark of incredible distinction, a sign that a student has the talent to build a career in the competitive world of theater. The foundation has awarded hundreds of scholarships, providing financial assistance and invaluable recognition to actors at the very start of their journeys. This is the real story. This is the truth that the sad, viral rumors ignore. Irene Ryan did not die alone and forgotten. She died a celebrated artist who, in her final act, ensured she would be remembered as a mentor, a benefactor, and a fairy godmother to generations of performers she would never meet. Her legacy is not one of loneliness, but of profound connection, a connection renewed every year on stages across the country. The rumor that no one showed up to Irene Ryan's funeral isn't just false. It's an injustice. It replaces a story of resilience and incredible generosity with a cheap and baseless tragedy. The truth is that Irene Ryan was a trailblazer who conquered every medium she ever attempted, from vaudeville to radio, film, television, and finally the grand stages of Broadway. She wasn't forgotten at the end of her life. She was celebrating a Tony Award nomination for a triumphant performance in a hit musical, and her passing was not the end of her story. Through the Irene Ryan Foundation, she created a living legacy of education and opportunity that has now spanned more than half a century. She spent her life making people laugh, and she dedicated her fortune to helping others achieve their dreams. That is a legacy of love, not loneliness. So the next time you see a post claiming this beloved actress died alone, remember the truth. Remember the Tony nomination. Remember the thousands of students who have been given a chance because of her. The real story of Irene Ryan's final days isn't a Hollywood tragedy. It's one of the most inspiring and enduring Hollywood success stories ever told. What are your favorite memories of Irene Ryan as Granny? Or have you, or anyone you know, ever competed for an Irene Ryan scholarship? Share your stories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed uncovering the truth behind this Hollywood myth, make sure to subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.